Growing up in the suburbs, I always had a fascination with the woods that bordered our neighborhood. They were dense and sprawling, filled with old trees that seemed to touch the sky. As kids, we'd often dare each other to venture deeper, telling tales of hidden treasures and secret clearings. As an adult, the allure of the forest never left me. One autumn, seeking a break from the monotony of city life, I decided to take a hiking trip in a national park renowned for its extensive trails and untouched wilderness. Equipped with a map, a compass, and a backpack filled with essentials, I set out early one morning, eager to reconnect with nature. The initial part of the hike was invigorating. The crisp air carried the scent of pine and earth, and the sound of leaves crunching underfoot was soothing. The trail was well marked, and I passed several other hikers along the way, exchanging friendly nods. After a few hours, I came across a fork in the path. One direction continued along the main trail, while the other was less trodden, a narrow path partially overgrown with foliage. A wooden sign pointed toward the main trail, but the other path had no markings. Curiosity got the better of me. I recalled stories of hidden waterfalls and secluded meadows off the beaten path. Checking my compass and noting the position of the sun, I decided to explore the unmarked trail, confident in my navigational skills. The path led me deeper into the forest. The trees grew thicker, their canopies intertwining to create a natural archway. Sunlight filtered through in dappled patterns, casting an ethereal glow. Birds sang melodies, and small woodland creatures scurried in the underbrush. After about an hour, I reached a clearing. In the center stood a massive oak tree, its branches sprawling and roots twisting above the ground. It was breathtaking. At the base of the tree, I noticed carvings, symbols and patterns that appeared ancient. As I examined them, a sense of unease washed over me. The forest had grown eerily silent. The birdsong ceased, and even the rustling of leaves seemed muted. A sudden chill brushed against my neck, despite the warmth of the day. Deciding it was time to head back, I retraced my steps, or so I thought. After walking for some time, I realized the path looked unfamiliar. Landmarks I'd noted earlier were nowhere to be seen. I pulled out my compass, but the needle spun erratically, refusing to settle. Panic began to set in. I reached for my map, but in my haste to explore, I'd left it behind, assuming the trail would be straightforward. Taking deep breaths, I tried to stay calm. I remembered that following the sun could guide me westward, back toward the park entrance. As I walked, the forest seemed to shift around me. Trees appeared distorted, their trunks bending at unnatural angles. Shadows stretched and moved, even though the sun was high. I heard whispers, soft and indistinct, like voices carried on the wind. "Hello?" I called out, hoping to find another hiker. The whispers ceased, replaced by faint laughter echoing among the trees. "Is anyone there?" I shouted, anxiety creeping into my voice. No response. I picked up my pace, pushing through branches and underbrush. The terrain became more challenging, steeper inclines and rocky outcrops that hadn't been there before. My watch showed that several hours had passed, yet the sun remained fixed in the same position. Exhausted, I stopped to rest on a fallen log. As I sipped water from my bottle, I noticed a figure in the distance, a person standing between the trees. Relief flooded me. "Hey," I waved. "Can you help me?" The figure didn't move. I approached cautiously. "I'm lost. Do you know the way back to the main trail?" As I drew nearer, I realized the figure was strangely dressed in clothing that appeared outdated, tattered trousers and a worn shirt. His face was obscured by shadows. "Sir?" I asked tentatively. He turned slowly, revealing hollow eyes and a gaunt expression. A chill ran down my spine. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered in a raspy voice. I'm sorry. I must have taken a wrong turn. Can you show me the way back? He shook his head. There's no way back. Not from here. Fear tightened its grip. What do you mean? There must be a path. He pointed behind me. They won't let you leave. I glanced over my shoulder, seeing nothing but dense forest. When I turned back, the man was gone. Heart pounding, I broke into a run, desperate to find any sign of the main trail or other hikers. The forest closed in around me, branches clawing at my clothes and skin. The whispers returned, louder and more insistent. Stay with us, they beckoned. Join us. I stumbled upon a clearing, but instead of relief, terror consumed me. It was the same clearing with the massive oak tree. The carvings at its base seemed to glow faintly. No, this can't be, I muttered, backing away. You're going in circles, a voice whispered directly into my ear. I spun around but saw no one. The shadows coalesced, forming shapes that moved independently of any light source. Gathering my courage, I pulled out a pocket knife and carved an arrow into a tree trunk, marking my path. Setting off in a straight line, I was determined to escape this nightmare. After what felt like hours, I found another one of my carvings, the same arrow. Confusion turned to despair. How was I back where I started? Exhaustion overcame me. I sank to the ground, fighting back tears. The forest seemed alive, pulsating with an energy that was both ancient and malevolent. Why are you doing this? I shouted into the void. Silence. Then, a soft voice replied, You trespassed where you do not belong. I just wanted to explore, I pleaded. I meant no harm. Curiosity has a price, the voice whispered. Now you are one of us. Desperation fueled me. I closed my eyes and focused on memories of home, my family, friends, the life I wanted to return to. I refused to accept this fate. A sudden warmth enveloped me. Opening my eyes, I saw a beam of sunlight piercing through the canopy, illuminating a narrow path ahead. Hope ignited within me. Rising to my feet, I followed the light, ignoring the whispers that tried to dissuade me. The path led upward, and the air grew lighter. The sounds of the forest returned, the rustling of leaves, birds chirping. Bursting through a thicket, I stumbled onto a well-worn trail. Relief washed over me as I recognized markers indicating the main path back to the park entrance. I hurried along, not daring to look back. Reaching the ranger station, I collapsed onto a bench. A concerned ranger approached. Are you okay? He asked. I got lost off trail, I explained, trying to steady my breathing. He gave me a stern look. These woods can be tricky. It's best to stay on the marked paths. I've learned that the hard way, I replied. As I drove away from the park, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me. In the rearview mirror, shadows seemed to flicker at the edge of the forest. Since that day, I've never ventured off marked trails. The experience left me with a deep respect for the unknown and the boundaries set by nature. Some places are meant to remain undisturbed, and some paths are best left forgotten.